Live. Hi, everyone.
Hi,
How are
everyone.
you? Um,
Welcome to our Friday get together. What's new and coming up with lipedema? I am Leslyn Keith. I'm president of the board and director of research for the Lipedema Project. I'm here with my friends and colleagues. Gail, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Gail Straker. I am the community manager for Lipedema Simplified Tribe, and I'm also the director of coaching. And I've been hanging out here for a few years.
And Siobhan, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm the research specialist over at the Lipedema Project. I do a whole bunch of reading and sometimes writing stuff, and I have lipedema.
And Siobhan, I have to say that is a very nice plant you have next to you, and I know that you've been working on keeping plants alive. Is this one of your projects?
Yes, so this guy I've had for quite a while, like 6 months or something like that. Still alive. It is a snake plant, so that's not actually saying much. But I also have a zebra plant in the other room that is also alive.
Okay,
Very low
great.
maintenance, water once a month or when you remember is usually the case for me.
Some plants thrive on benign neglect, so you've chosen well. Very good.
Yes.
Well done. And we have some interesting things to talk about today, some things that are new and coming up. And also, I think we're going to talk a little bit about garment stuff. And please, if you're here and you're listening to us live, post in where you are in the world, and say hi. As Gail always says, give us some love. We like to have those hearts coming in. And if you have a question, anything you want us to talk about, but we have a couple things we wanted to talk about. First, Gail, I think we have a new course that's coming up, Thriving Through the Holidays. Can you talk about that?
Yes. So last year we had an event or a course, a CSIG, we call them, Coaching Special Interest Group, and we called it Thriving Through the Holidays. And basically what it is it's where you can find extra support as you go through the holidays. And we develop a course, and it's a live course. And so people attend, we talk one-on-one with people, we get into groups and those sorts of things, and we teach it over like the end of November and up to like New Year's, so that we support you, and you can find support in the community as you go through the holidays, because often that's when we need more support, either with our nutrition or our self-care as we travel, or people are coming into our homes, or just sometimes we don't get to travel, so we feel a little bit vulnerable. And so we call it Thriving Through the Holidays. We do not have a start date yet, but it is in the works. And so keep track of your emails. Reach out if you haven't taken our quiz at Lipedema Simplified. Go and take the quiz so that you can register for whatever we have coming up. But yeah, we're looking at getting that information out to you here in the next week or so about our course called Thriving Through the Holidays.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And just to give everybody an update, that I have been attending conferences and giving presentations recently, and I got some others coming up. I did go to New Orleans for the American Vein and Lymphatic Society conference, and they now have not only a whole section on lymphedema, but they devoted a bunch of that section to lipedema. And so it is really almost taken over the lymphedema part of the conference. And so there was a lot of information on lipedema. I spoke about keto and lipedema. We had Dr. Amato was there from Brazil, a surgeon who uses keto with his patients to prepare them for surgery or maybe even avoid surgery. He presented, came from Brazil to do that. So it wasn't just me talking about keto. So fun conference there. And then I just yesterday spoke with Adi, who is one of our coaches. She's a lymphedema therapist, lymphatic therapist. She is a member of the Society for Oncology Massage, and they wanted me to speak on what's new and coming up with lymphatics, because there's some new things like brain lymphatics and stuff like that that I find fascinating. And they also want to know more about keto and, or no, specifically about lipedema and what's the new stuff with lipedema. So spoke with them last night, and that was fun. And I will be attending the National Lipedema Network Conference in Cleveland in a few weeks. And I will be doing my research update Facebook Live from Cleveland. So I'll be talking from there. We're also getting into the time of year where there's lots of traveling. And so I don't know what Gail and Siobhan, what you guys got planned for traveling, but one of the parts of traveling is compression. And I know that you both have been working on compression issues and experimentation, stuff like that. So let's talk about travel and, compression and what you guys are doing for compression. And if you're going to be traveling anywhere interesting, be sure to mention that. Go ahead. You want to start, Siobhan?
Yeah, I have no travel planned. I have someone visiting in January, so I plan to stay where I'm at until then. And for traveling for like conferences and stuff like that, typically what I try to do is I wear full compression garments on the plane. So I'll have the sleeves on and then also hip to ankle compression. And then I also just try to take extra electrolytes. I don't usually supplement them at this point, but when I'm traveling, I always need extra. I'll start getting cramps and stuff like that. And that usually helps. And then getting a little bit of extra sleep whenever I land, that'll usually help mitigate a lot of the swelling for me. Probably
Yes.
the worst I've ever had, weirdly, was on a very long train ride. That was awful.
Interesting. Not a plane flight. And that's what
No.
people tend to think of. But really, those long car rides, long train rides can be just as concerning. Yeah.
Yeah. And usually I handle road trips a lot better because we stop all the time to get refills on drinks, to get food, just to stop and whatever. So when I did the Colorado to Indiana trip with Mom, she was doing like spinning on her breaks, so spinning yarn, and I would get out and walk around. And so that wasn't too bad. But stuff where you're confined in a small space for long periods of time, and then any pressure fluctuations, yuck.
Yeah. And Siobhan, road trips sometimes for some of us are hard, especially out here in the West, because it's a long ways between stops. Like when I go to California or Seattle, whatever, we could be 150 miles between. It feels like between rest stops or someplace to stop, and so getting out every chance you can, just to walk around the car, rub your legs. I suggested for one time to somebody, get a stick, a roller stick, and you can give yourself some manual lymph drainage, on your legs. If somebody
Oh.
else is driving, right, make sure that you're rolling, and I use it. Sometimes I just feel like there are knots in my legs. But now I'm flying. I'm going to Virginia the first the first full week of December, to take care of Julian and Jasmine. They're my little buddies back there. Anyway, and what I'll be doing, for myself, to take good care of myself, of course, make sure that I have plenty of fluids and electrolytes. But there's a couple other things I have to really do. I have to make sure I wear earplanes. Those are like earbuds that have a clicker in it that makes sure that your ears don't get clogged. Because
Oh.
that they're just like, they have a valve in there. Anyway, you put them in just before you take off. I have to do that, or I get headaches and earaches. I'm wearing my compression, of course. I've started doing that, and I don't want to go anywhere without it now. I wear it all the time, every day. And then the leg compression, of course, midfoot to waist. But one of the things that I make sure I do now is I don't put my carry-on under the seat in front of me anymore. I put it above, and I leave that space super empty. So I might have a tiny little pack, maybe of yarn or something, or my headphones or something going there. But I try really hard to be able to have that seat in front of me, underneath the seat in front of me, empty, so I can stretch out my legs and I can rotate my ankles. Otherwise, I'm sitting there bunched up.
Yes.
Yet the other thing I do is, even if I'm flying by myself, I ask the person next to me if we can have the armrest up
Oh.
between us. Sometimes they don't. They're like, "No, I want it down." Okay, fine. I'm really polite. A lot of times I get in the seat and I put the armrest up and make them put it down if they
Mhm.
want it.
And
Um,
tell us why you want that to be up.
I want the armrest to be up so that I have space for my hips,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
I sitting there with that armrest down up against my, I mean, it's just that much tighter for
Yes.
me. And so when I fly with my husband, we're able to, we put the armrest up between us, so it's
Yes.
just that much more comfortable. But having that armrest down doesn't give me as much space. And so for the last few years, I haven't been shy about it. I'll ask someone, do you mind if we leave the armrest up?
Mhm.
And most of the time they say, yeah, sure, no problem. But not always. But it's worth it's worth that, taking that little bit of risk, as personal. You have to feel confident to be able to do that. But otherwise, you're sitting there wedged in between those two
Right.
um, armrests, or I always sat on the aisle so I could, like, get that hip pushed a
Mhm.
little bit closer to the aisle. But yeah, it's just there's those little things.
Yeah.
I don't drink any soda
Do you,
anymore.
are you wearing compression on the plane?
Yes.
What do
Yeah.
you wear?
I wear Cialis, midfoot to, they're the full length leggings, so it's midfoot to
To waist?
waist. And
Mhm.
if I need to, I will wear a pair of socks. If my feet are going to get cold, I'll wear socks over the top of it. But I really, I really don't like my toes covered, and so I
Yeah.
just wear, yeah, I'm something I can, if I need to remove my shoes or something like
Mhm.
that. And then also, one of the things that I make sure that I do, because I get dried out and stuff, is I make sure that I have something either to suck on. But I do make sure I keep my electrolytes up. It's
Mhm.
really been beneficial.
I, I know you've been experimenting with arm compression, I think, as well as Siobhan, you've been doing that. Um, I I don't know if we've ever shown or talked about here about, I think is it CZ Zalis or is it Solidea that you're using that has both sleeves plus that band that goes across your back and connects the two sleeves together? Are you using that, Siobhan? Do you use that for
Yeah,
your
I
arm?
believe that I have that in both BioFlect and CZ Salis. I have both of
Okay.
them.
Mine's
But
BioFlex.
Oh, okay.
yeah, and there's an issue with one of them where I'm between sizes. So if I go a size up, it's too big, and if I go a size down, it's too small. I don't remember which one that is, so I end up just using one of them. But yeah, they both have the band across the back.
Yeah.
My
If it's too
only
small, it'll tend to cut in this part of was that what you were having a problem, Siobhan?
Yeah, it'll start
Yeah.
cutting into my shoulder, which
So you want to
is
have that support, but you don't want to be cutting in anywhere. So it's very important. And so a lot of times, if you're in between sizes in one brand, try another brand, and then
yeah.
you might fit because they all have their own sizing chart. They're not
Hmm.
all small, medium, large. It's not the same in each brand.
Right.
Yeah, and the other thing that I found is instead of the one with the band at the back and it cuts off at the arms, there's a full compression shirt. So it
Oh,
compresses at the abdomen and then also the arms, and that's through CZ Saus, I think. And I
mhm.
actually like that one because there's no cutting anywhere. Like, it's very compressive, and I wouldn't wear it while giving a presentation because it's a little bit more difficult to breathe because you have to do the forceful belly breathing against it.
You be very careful with that. I
Yes,
do
but
remember one time you were doing a presentation while you were trying that one out, and you spoke so fast that no one could understand what you were
yeah,
talking
it's
about.
because I started like hyperventilating because
Yeah.
there's pressure on your abdomen, which
Yeah.
is good if you want to do that deep belly breathing, especially right before MLD. But in general, like if you're intending to speak, it can be a little bit restrictive.
Mhm.
But I do really like that one in general.
And I will tell you another compression shirt is by Wear Ease. And there is, I think, an Andrea, and then she has one for men called an Andrew. So, check that out. Also, Wear Ease, EASE. She was also a one of our sponsors for our Heart to Heart event, and she does a lot of compression capris, compression shorts, and all kinds of different compression bras and shirts. And she does a crop top, so it's just the upper chest and across the shoulders. But she does have some that will get more with the whole trunk too. So another option. And really what I found too, and I think is what you're talking about, Siobhan, too, is that sometimes you need a variety, especially when you're talking about for your trunk. It's a lot of times for your leg or your arm, one thing is always good. But when you talk about your trunk, one day this one feels good. My sports bra feels good. And another day, I know I want to use something else. And because I think we must change more in the trunk than we do in the arms and legs on kind of these daily fluctuations. So especially since we have all those vital things like breathing that are happening in the trunk, that give yourself a variety. If you can afford to get a bunch of different brands, let yourself have a choice so that you can be in the thing that's comfortable for you that day.
And it's really interesting you say that, because I actually have BioFlect sleeves that has the band across the back. And I thought I was going to be wearing my black ones all the time, but I prefer my nude colored ones.
Now,
I
tell
need
me
to get a
if
pair
you
of
think
those.
this is true, Gail. I have seen this with several people have told me that there seems to be something with the black dye, that the black ones tend to be stiffer and they feel like they're firmer than the beige.
Yes. Yes. And that's what's so interesting, because the one day that I had to just get that off of me
Yes.
before I lost my mind, I was wearing the black ones.
Yes.
But I still wear them, and but that was the only one I had to time I had to remove it. It was like it was
Yeah.
just too much. And it was when I first started wearing it, and I wonder, maybe they're a little looser now that I've washed them a few more times. But it was the black ones
Yes.
that because I thought, "Oh, if I have black ones, they'll just be able to go with everything, and I don't have to worry about it."
Yeah.
And they do get, like, my hoodies, because my hoodies are fuzzies. I get little fuzzy balls on the bottom,
Yeah.
but it's really interesting that I found the black ones to be less comfortable
Mhm.
than this is they call it sand. And I know that Jane has asked, what's the name of comfortable arm compressions?
Mhm.
And I think they call these a bolero. The reason that or at least I like the ones that have the band across the back, is because, let's see if I can get in the right spot. I'm big here, narrow here, and if they cut in here, I am actually causing another dig
Tourniquet.
into a
Yeah.
tourniquet type situation.
Mhm.
And so I chose to get one with a bolero. People can see how it fits. I just lift my sleeve up, right? It just comes over the back and goes across. So they're really quite comfortable. And the women that I've talked to, in some of our events, once I started wearing it, and they challenged themselves to get arm compression, do their own MLD, and put their arm compression on every morning. They're
Mm-hmm.
liking it,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you
I
know.
think
So
that's get that same feeling of support and containment that you have in the legs. You can also get that same good feeling in your arms. And I think that both you and Siobhan were sharing before we started that you do feel it it's a different sensation, different feeling in your arms when you've been using arm compression. Siobhan, can you describe how that feels different now that you've been using the arm compression?
Yeah, so I really started noticing after I started going to MLD appointments, because then there would be that space in between, and my lymphatic therapist would ask, "What difference do you feel between them?" And it's a less heavy feeling. It feels like more relaxed, less pressure in the arm. And that'll last for a while after the appointment, and then can extend it out further after using compression. So it's less heaviness. It feels more empty almost. Like the size of it is still there. I haven't noticed any decrease in measurements of my arm, but it's just like, softer, not as full. And so that's kind of interesting.
yeah, they feel more normal. Would you be like I was feeling mine earlier this morning, and I'm like, the sands of grain are still in there, those or grains of sand, and they're still there, but they feel e- more normal to me.
Can I say, like, they feel happier?
yeah,
Uh-huh. And
yeah,
that really, for you, Siobhan, is a combination of getting manual lymph drainage, which I'm a big advocate for using manual
I
lymph
love
drainage
it.
for lipedema, but it's also in combination with the compression.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And Gail, you try to get your MLD whenever you can.
Right. And so there's been some changes. So I get MLD, and the I it's been about every 2 weeks or so, which just isn't enough. I could be in there daily. It's wonderful stuff. But so I do self MLD. And the last time that I was with her after I started MLD, self MLD with as dry brushing or with a bulb massager, um, and supporting that work with the compression.
Mhm.
I started doing that in the first part of September, and by the end of September, she doesn't spend as much time on my arms
Mm.
as she used to.
Mhm.
And so she can focus more on, she was starting to focus on my trunk, and then on like the backs of my thighs. So she took it made it so she could start focusing on other places a little bit more, because my
Mhm.
arms didn't need that as much work.
Mhm.
But one of the things that I do is I either do dry brushing before I put my compression garments on every time.
Oh.
And because that was my challenge. So I'm not, and if I do put my compression garments on before I dry brush, I don't dry brush. I use my bulb massager. And that's to help break down some of the fibrotic tissue. So I don't do just one. I don't do
Mhm.
like ML self manual lymph drainage or dry brushing and do not put the compression on. That doesn't happen. I do
Right.
them both,
Right.
because both of are really important. The compression supports the drainage work that I'm doing. I don't go, "Oh, I've done my drainage work," and leave. No, I get my compression on. So they
Mm-hmm.
support each
And
other.
so, Gail, this is something a new part of your protocol that you have pretty much developed by meeting with one of our coaches.
Yes.
We have two coaches that are certified lymphatic therapists, and you met with one of them, Veronica, she helped you develop this protocol. And that is, we have coaches that cover a variety of different topics. And the things that we've been talking about today, manual lymph drainage, compression, traveling, and you doing your self-care during travel, this is something that you would talk to if you were lucky enough to have a certified lymphatic therapist. But it's also something you can still do online, virtually, by having one of our coaches, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It was amazing. Veronica was able to sit down with me online, and she would see, because I'm director of coaching, so she's seen my arms because I sit like this a lot, right? So she'd been seeing my arms for a year. And she kept saying, we need to talk about your arms. We need to talk about your arms. And so I ended up saying, okay, fine. We'll talk about my arms. And so I made an appointment with her, and she had looked at my arms a little bit, and she could tell. You can tell when I sit like this, you can tell that I have one arm that's bigger than the other one. And so she says, let's talk about why that could be happening. And she thought maybe I could be congested through the left side of me, my trunk, right? And that because my left arm has been bigger for 20 years, 30
Oh,
years, right?
interesting.
It seems to be the one that has this big bulb behind it. And so when she said that, I thought, oh, so she showed me how to do manual lymph drainage for myself, self massage, dry brushing. That was the first appointment. Made me write everything down,
Very good.
which I didn't do. And so then she had me repeat back to her, which I couldn't do. So then she had me write it down again, which I did with my crayon because that's the only thing I could find. That's how stubborn I am. And
No, but this is, this is how it's.
She is.
Yeah, it's how it's individualized, when you
Right.
work with a coach. And just, going back to what you're talking about, being congested maybe in your trunk, and that was affecting your arm. I think, Siobhan, before we came on, you were talking about something that might be an issue for a lot of women that was specifically pointed out to you in your appointment with Dr. Herbst. Can you talk about that a little bit? What was going on your trunk?
Yeah, so we talked about it a little bit last week, but there's actually an update to it at this point. We were talking about how potentially the underwire bras, the band, could be constrictive and cause this fluid buildup right in the bra band area. And I have lipedema tissue there. I have a strip of it right where the bra band goes. It's like, oh, and it's something I've been self-conscious about and was looking forward to losing when I first went keto and started losing weight, and then it didn't go away. And it was pointed out to me during my diagnosis that it's all lipedema tissue there. So probably fluid accumulated, and then you get that buildup of tissue and fibrosis there. So it doesn't go away with weight loss, which is not happy about that. But
what was the suggestion? What could we do?
So Gail had brought it up last week that it might be related to wearing underwire bras, and I've largely stopped doing that anyway. I don't particularly like them, and unless I'm going to a conference or something, I don't really bother. But I talked to my lymphatic therapist a few days ago during our second appointment and brought it up, and she said, well, yeah, anything constrictive could potentially do that. And one of it is don't wear a bra. Another is skip the underwire, make sure it's more flexible material that's not constrictive. And then Gail, you actually got something that may also be useful. So can you,
Right.
Well, you don't show us, Leslyn show us.
Oh,
you have the extra. Okay.
Oh, you have yours
two.
too.
I have one that I'm wearing, and I have one that I'm not wearing. So
it's a zipper in the front. It's a Prairie Wear bra, and they also supported our Heart to Heart event, so that's why we're showing it. But the main thing about these, and mine is beige. I think Gail's, yours is black. But you can see how soft and wide the bottom band is, so you can get support, but you're not going to cut off that place around your trunk that Siobhan was talking about.
Right. And
Yeah,
so
because the fluid will go out of your arm through the nodes in the armpit and then should go down the side or across the chest, if I'm correct on my lymphatic physiology, which means the bra bands could potentially be cutting off an area of exit and then causing fluid buildup.
and the one that Leslyn showed you is called the Vita. It's their lower coverage bra. But this thing that that I have, this is called the Prima. And it's more like a long line bra, like the old fashioned long line bras. Not so much. It's full coverage, zippers up the front, and then the straps are nice and wide, and they actually have hook and eye closures on the straps, and you put it on just like a vest, like a jacket, and so you can adjust the everything on it.
Nicole was asking, what's the name of this brand?
It's called
Prairie Wear.
Prairie, like Little House on the Prairie wear,
Mhm.
and their bras are called Huggers.
Mhm.
And I can tell you, I'll put it in there. I can tell you right now
Mhm.
that for me, the full coverage one, the Prima, is way too much coverage. I am not large,
Yeah.
busted in any way.
So this one, the Vita, is a little bit less coverage.
Right.
And so you might like that. But if you go to the Prairie Wear website, you can
Yeah.
pull that.
So that's the one I'm wearing now, and it's
Mhm.
much more comfortable. But for me, because I'm a B cup, right? If you're larger than I think if you're a D or larger, they actually have an extender that goes right there where the zipper is. So it still fits you properly through the rest of through your shoulders and your waist and everything. But it gives you that extra space in the front that you need for the front. I don't have anything in the front, so I don't have to wear the extender. But it's basically a panel that it's just zips right in, right, that the whole thing. And they are the for me the full coverage was just too much because I'm not used to it.
Right.
But
Right.
the one that I'm wearing now, the Vita, it's very comfortable. It's a little, takes a while to get adjusted to having a zipper in the front, at least for me, because I haven't done that for very long. But what it is doing is, because the coverage is such that it's smooth, where up until now it was like I had to get bras that kind of just clinched into me, right?
Yeah.
And that
In a
were
very small area. And so what these do is they really spread the load out. And so you
right,
have this whole area compressed instead of this one narrow area compressed. And that's where we're getting that constriction and that
right.
pooling that Siobhan's talking about, which, we can go on forever talking about this because obviously it is fascinating to us. And we love being here with you every Friday talking about what's new and coming up and talking about bras, So
Well, and we started talking about them last week, and I hadn't
yeah.
received my bras yet, right? I'd
Oh,
ordered them and I hadn't received them. And
yeah.
so I've been wearing them for probably 5 days.
So this is very, very new for you.
It's very new for me, because I was to the point where I was just gonna throw bras out. I was burning those bras because
Hmm.
I realized that it really could be something that was causing the restriction. So when I gave up the underwires, I called it going cage free.
Going cage free, yes.
Someone thought I was talking about eggs. but yeah, it's new, and it's, after wearing an underwire bra for 40 years, I mean, it's
Yeah.
different. I've been, you know, I don't know, maybe I always thought I was just the only woman who couldn't get a comfortable, good fitting bra.
Mhm.
I
I think a lot of people out there have that difficulty. And thank you for the people that have been posting I see Nicole and Kate and Jane and Carrie. Thank you from all over the place. We're looking at Canada and England and all over the place. Thank you for being here with us. And people are asking for maybe for some links.
Well, I can't. I don't have one up right now.
Yeah, and I was just thinking of also the Waries, both Waries
Yeah.
Prairie Wear. But also, one person posted that she found something very similar to this at Walmart. So basically, you're looking for something that has a wide supportive band, not a narrow band to go around your trunk. These we're just giving you a couple of options. Same thing we were talking about the sleeves. CZ Zalis, Solidea, Biofleck. There's lots of brands, but you might find another one. So you got to find the one that works for you.
There's a question I really want to answer here because I think this is something that's concerning some of us. Nicole says, does anyone else suspect or know they have lipedema in their breasts? My bra size just keeps going up, and even though my other lipedema areas remain relatively the same, I'm now around an M or an O cup, and I can't find bras. And I can tell you truthfully, Nicole, when I started my dry brushing and my MLD, I think my cup size lowered. I think I was congested through here. And now that because what Veronica had me doing is she wanted me to make sure that I was doing my massage across 3 different areas of my breast. And the very first time I did it, and I'm watching it, it was just within moments, I saw the one breast just like almost flush because it just softened, and I could feel that it was like here they were, and then one went like that. It was like,
Inflated. Yes, yes.
it just flushed out. So can we have lipedema in our breasts? I would say so, right, Leslyn?
Well, at the very least, I think that you can get definitely congested with fluid, and that's why the compression and the MLD help. And so, is it true lipedema tissue? I don't know, but
Right.
I do know that when we do the same sorts of treatments that we do on the rest of our body for lipedema, that seems to help also with the breast. So don't be afraid to, include that in your treatments and your self-care.
Right. And go
Yeah.
ahead.
I was just going to say, we've just gone way over time because it's a great topic, and we like talking about this. I really enjoyed being here with everybody here today. Great discussion. All I can say is to be continued. We'll,
Yeah.
we'll keep talking about this.
And seriously, I mean, all of us, we're still learning as fast as we possibly can. And we're experimenting and we're trying things, and we bring that to you
Yes.
as soon as we figure out what we're up to. So if you have ideas, feel free to just to write to one of us. It's easy enough to get a hold of us. Just go to our website, lipedema-simplified.org. You can find us, jot us a line, and we'll see what we can find.
Yep.
Okay. So
thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
See you again next week.
See you.
Bye.